Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah.
We are doing a very special project today. We are going to be learning to make masks with our very good friend, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Yes. Thank you so much for being with us, Sharon. This is so exciting.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what is the first step for making a mask?
First step is you should make some sort of little cutout for yourself, pattern, little template pattern.
Okay,
I made
cool.
mine out of some leftover cardstock that I had laying around. You
Awesome.
can see the sticker
Yes.
left. That's okay.
Yeah, for the pattern, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It is 9 inches by 6 inches.
Great.
And you will have a 1/2 inch seam on either side.
I see.
So it's
Okay.
a very basic pattern.
Cool.
Mine I've actually cut a little bit shorter
Mm-hmm.
because the numbers on my machine are getting a little difficult to see.
I see.
So instead of having an actual 1/2 inch pattern, when we get to the sewing part, you're going to see that I line mine up to the edge of my sewing foot. That's so I can see it.
Okay.
So, but
Cool.
if you have better eyesight or a better sewing machine, 9 inches across,
Mm-hmm.
6 down, and a 1/2 inch seam allowance on either side. And
Great.
that's really all you need.
Very cool.
The other things you're going to need are some pins, something to draw a pattern with, some scissors, some bias tape, and a tape measure. This is a really tape measure.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then obviously some fabric.
Perfect.
So it's not hard. That's what we need.
Awesome.
So what kind of fabric would they be looking for? Just anything they have lying around the house? Does it matter? I mean,
Not quite, actually. According to the medical experts, the health experts,
CBC.
the CDC, the best kind of fabric for this is a tightly woven fabric, like a quilting cotton. That's
okay.
really the best
Got it.
kind. It's a
Okay.
nice, really tight weave, so that not as much. I mean, it's not going to be a medical grade mask,
Awesome.
but not as much air and particles can get through.
Great.
Things
Okay.
like loosely woven stuff, like a loose linen, not the best. They don't stop anything from getting through.
Mm-mm.
The best they can do is just stop you from touching your face. All right, so the first thing is we're going to take our pattern and just lay it out here. You can use chalk or a Sharpie or whatever you want. I've got a Sharpie because it was here.
Sometimes, yeah, you just have to use what's lying around.
Yep.
It is true. Yes. Yeah.
And we're just going to draw. Hope you can see through my hand there. We're going to draw our pattern.
I wonder
Invisible.
if people could even use like a crayon or something. Will a crayon write on that?
You might have
Enough
to
like see.
press it a little hard to get it to go,
Mhm.
and the fabric might start skipping and bunching.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth a try. I've never
Yeah.
tried a crayon, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Usually chalk
Mm-hmm.
or a soft pen of some sort. I can use
Yes.
ballpoint occasionally.
Yeah.
It just depends on the fabric and what you're writing underneath.
Right. Right.
If you're writing on, say, like a padded
Mhm.
ironing board,
Yeah.
something that you have to press hard on is not going to work because it's
Right.
going to get squishy and it's going to start warping the fabric.
Totally.
Mm.
Totally.
But I hope we can see that black on black there. There's one pattern. This one you'll be able to see better because it's a much brighter fabric.
Yeah.
And you want to cut 2. You
And you do different, different patterns.
Yes, you want to. You can make both sides the same if you want, but again, the CDC recommends that you do 2 different colors so that you can tell which side faces externally
Mm-hmm.
and which side is up against your mouth.
Okay.
That's very important.
Yeah. Yeah. for sure.
Another thing that I heard was about lining them
Mhm.
or putting filters or things like that in there.
Right.
If you have sew-in interfacing, you could add that in there for a little extra stiffness if you want.
Okay.
They say that iron-on interfacing, which is what I have at home, since you're going to be washing these in hot water,
Mhm.
the interfacing breaks down very quickly,
Ah.
so it's not actually going to help much.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not putting any in there, because all I have at home is iron-on interfacing.
Yeah.
The other thing is I'm not doing pockets in these. These are very basic ones,
Yeah.
because I keep hearing conflicting information on if you can use coffee filters or not. Vacuum bags. I've heard a lot of people using vacuum bags, but that's actually very bad because what they're made of, sometimes they have metallic fibers in there, and you don't want that right on your face.
No, definitely not.
So I've chosen to not do any filters at all.
Okay.
So there's no pocket for filters. It's just the straight fabric, 2 different colors, so you can see one side versus the other. It's all just straight cotton, so you can wash it on hot.
Great.
And keep them nice and sanitized and do it over and over and over. You just need to repress the pleats and that's it.
Okay, yeah. Oh, and so you are pleating them. I did see that on the CDC website too. Yeah,
yes.
That's definitely
And we've
suggested.
got off camera an ironing board and an iron, a good strong steam iron.
Great.
It's kind of hard to do it on this table, so I'm just gonna, the magic of television, we're just gonna go away and it's gonna come back on. Ta-da! So that's how we're gonna do that.
Perfect, awesome.
Yes. So now what we do is we're just gonna cut out our pieces. And this 9x6 does include any seam allowance, like I said, that 1/2 inch. So this is all it is.
Those are some serious scissors too.
Oh, these are my small ones.
Those are beautiful. Cutting through like butter.
Oh yeah. All those memes about never touch the fabric scissors.
Yes.
Truth. Absolute truth.
I do have a pair of fabric scissors at my house, and I even am nervous to touch them. So.
Kids at home, don't just grab your parents' fabric scissors to cut out like
do not use
toys
fabric
or
scissors
My
for
husband
craft.
2 pieces now. And now the thing we want to do is we want to put them together right sides together.
Okay.
Because we're going to sew this and then turn it right side out.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Because basically we're going to sew these 2 sides here, and then when we turn it, pretty sides will be out.
I
So
see.
we want pretty
Right.
sides touching.
Right. Okay.
So we're just going to line it all up nice and neat, just like that.
Perfect.
And we're going to get our pins.
So in general, if you've never sewed before, what kind of pin length do you usually go for? Does it really matter?
I have a mix of 2 different kinds in here right now. Just happened. But I've got big, long quilting pins. And I think these are 2.5. These are 2.5 inches. And these are 2 inches.
Oh, okay. And then the space between them too.
Oh, 15. That's how you put the pins.
It's okay, yeah. I wasn't pretty clear.
Sorry. Well, there's different pins too. If you go to the store, there's a million different pins as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like the ones with the balls on the top because it's easier to pull them out.
Definitely. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
If you haven't sewn before, I would put more pins in here. That's actually, thank you for the reminder because I sew a lot, so I don't use many pins. When I was in college, or straight out of college, I worked as a secretary at a professional clothing company with all of the seamstresses in the back, and they didn't use pins at all. And that was just like magic and wizardry to me.
That is incredible. Wow.
Yeah. On those super fast industrial machines, I just, wow, I don't even know.
Yeah.
So I put a bunch of pins in there,
Awesome.
and now we're ready to sew.
Excellent.
So, machine, here we go. Does that look okay?
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna just line it up here. And remember, this is because I can't see on my machine very well. I'm lining it up right up against the foot. If you're doing the 1/2 inch, and that's absolutely fine, it would be, you would have on your machine some sort of line somewhere that will say 0.5 or 1/2 or something, and so it would look a little more like that.
Okay.
And that's if you had a full 9 inches across.
Great. Okay.
And then, does it matter what kind of stitch you're going for, or is it?
It's just a straight stitch.
Okay.
I have my machine, mine's electronic. Some have the dial and it'll just say like 1, 2, 3, 4, or narrow to wide. Mine actually has a digital with numbers on it, so I have mine set at a 3.0.
Okay.
I usually go anywhere from a 2.8 to a 3.0
Right.
in there. So it's just a good moderate length. What would be helpful? We're professionals, guys.
We are.
All right, there we go. So now I'm just going to take it nice and slow. There we go. And now just a couple of stitches there. Then I'm going to reverse it because that locks your stitch. Just go backwards a couple. And now we're going to go forward again. And I'm going to get those pins out of the way. You can sew over them if you want, but you run the risk of the needle hitting the pin. It makes a horrible noise. Sometimes the machine will freak out and start beeping error messages at you and freeze up. Sometimes you'll break the pin, break the needle, break everything. You run screaming. It's a mess. So just don't. Now we're going to reverse again.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go.
Great.
Yeah.
Lift that up. Pull that out. I have an automatic cutter here, but as you can see, it's very old, so it's not as sharp. So I have scissors too. But if you have one of those, totally. I'm gonna turn around, do this side. Again, remember, if you're doing the 1/2 inch, you're gonna come in. I'm going right there with like 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Couple of stitches, then reverse it. Then forward again.
I love the sound of a sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Very calming for me.
It really is.
In making all these masks, I pulled out my old machine too. I have an old 1959 Slant-O-Matic.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an amazing name.
It's sometimes also referred to as the Rocketeer because it has that very 50s ultra modern mid-century look, and it kind of looks like an old-fashioned rocket ship kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not quiet. It does not have that ching 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 ching.
Right,
It's
yeah.
more like boy, she's so beautiful.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, so I'm gonna move the machine back out of the way so you can see what we're doing.
Perfect.
Right. So yeah, we stitched the sides together.
So you can see that's stitched,
Mm-hmm.
and see since we went back and forth, it's locked, so it's not gonna come apart.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna turn it right side out, like that.
Awesome.
So
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
Now, before I do that, actually, I'm gonna come back. What we wanna do, you should always, when sewing anything, press your seams.
Mm.
Press your seams. So since I have to do that off camera, I'm just going to show you briefly what I'm doing here. We're just going to take a hot iron and press those open.
Perfect, okay.
Because if you see, put it back this way, that's kind of lumpy.
Right,
It's kind of
yeah.
lumpy. We want it clean, especially
Nice
since
and
we're going to pleat it.
Mhm.
Again,
Right.
we're going to do a little pleaty thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to go off, probably snip
Perfect.
that off, and press these. I'll be right back.
Great.
So,
Okay.
we got it back. All my seams are
Okay.
nice and pressed. Nice and flat that is.
Awesome.
So, all nice and neat.
Excellent.
Okay. So what we want to do here is we're gonna fold it
Mhm.
just to see where the halfway point is.
Okay.
And we're gonna put a little pin there. If you're using chalk
Mm-hmm.
or something temporary, you can just put a little drawing
Okay.
on either side. That's what I usually do, but since I have a Sharpie, I don't want to make a permanent mark on my fabric.
No,
Yeah.
yes.
I left my chalk at home. So, okay, but this is just so you know where the halfway point is.
Perfect.
There we go. Now we're going to pull out the bias tape.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. That's okay. It's just going to look a little weird.
Okay.
So I got bias tape, double fold. What you want is extra wide double fold. It's the same
okay.
stuff. It's just, instead of it being, here's the end, this narrow, it's going to be about like that.
I see.
It's going to be wider. It's the only
Okay.
difference. But this would make this just a little bit harder.
Okay.
So if you have the wider, or if you are able to get wider,
Okay.
get the 1/2 inch double fold.
Perfect.
And you want 2 pieces of this,
Mm-hmm.
and each one is going to be, depending on your head size,
Okay.
anywhere from 32 to a full 36 inches.
Okay.
So somewhere just shy of a yard.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to pop this out. And take a quick measure here. I can't believe I did that.
That's all right.
That's all right.
Whoops.
Sometimes you gotta make do with what you got.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like we're talking about with the elastic, gotta make do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, with the elastic, 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch is best.
Okay. Oh, great.
Otherwise, it gets kind of bulky around your head. Around your
Yeah.
ears.
Perfect.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do this. 33. Kind of like right in the middle there, between the two.
Cool.
So get some of that.
And you said you need 2 of them, right?
2 of them. Yep. So
Okay.
cut up. The stuff that I sew at home, I buy bias tape in 100-yard rolls.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
I just pulled out a roll and went, all right, I'm good.
This will last you for the next 20 years.
Well, for me, it lasts me about 4 months.
Right, yeah.
Fair enough.
Maybe even less, depending on how busy I am.
Mhm.
That's fair.
But that's okay. There we go. All right, so we've got 2 pieces now. And that way. Here's our 2 pieces.
Awesome.
So what you want to do is unfold it
Mhm.
and fold this over.
Okay.
You can either take it back to your iron and press it, or if you want just the heat of your fingers, you press it a little bit too. And then fold it back in. That's just covering up the raw edge of that bias.
I see. Cool.
That. And then when we sew it, we're going to sew and then down, so that'll lock that in.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm going to do both sides. Since this came off of a folded package instead of my big roll, there's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
bends in it, so I'm actually going to run it back over to the ironing board real quick.
Perfect.
So I am going to go ahead, instead of finger pressing, I'm going to, for reals, press these real quick.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we're all pressed. Ready to go. All right, so we're going to do the same thing that we did here, and we're going to find the middle of each of these.
Okay.
Cool.
So I'm just pulling it tight. You can measure it. I just go, that's half. Right there. Again, if you have a little piece of chalk, you can make a little drawing on it to know where you are. That's my half. So I know I'm good, and I'm just going to open this up and put this inside of it, and then sandwich it in there. And now you can see why the slightly wider bias
Yes,
tape.
exactly. The wider would make this process a lot easier. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
This is doable, but the wider does make it easier.
Now, if folks don't have access to this, would they be able to put another piece of fabric along the top?
You absolutely
Okay.
can. In fact, the first time I saw a mask similar to this being made, it was by a professional costumer from a theater company.
Okay.
Since their theater is closed, she started making masks. And she had cut all of her own fabric strips and folded them into the bias folds and everything. And beautiful. Oh, her stuff is beautiful. As it should be. She's,
Yeah.
For sure.
she costumes operas. Yeah. But in that case, if you want to do that, and if you have the time, all you need is that same 30-something inch long piece.
Perfect.
2 inches wide. Then you fold it in half.
Okay.
Iron it. Here, I'll show you. Fold all of this. There we go. So you're going to have one big piece. Then you're going to fold that in half and see that center fold. And then each side of that center fold, you will then fold that in half
I see.
to have something that looks like that.
So then, because you want your cut edges on the inside.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, that's not bias tape. Bias tape is a whole different thing. It's cut on a bias so that it actually stretches a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Even though this is 100% cotton, it has a little stretch to it. That's why it's called bias tape.
Yeah.
But we don't need the stretch. We're just using these because they're pre-folded and convenient.
Yes. Perfect.
So if you don't have bias tape, you want to make your own, just cut some 2-inch strips.
Perfect.
And then iron them where all the folds are on the inside.
Great.
That's all you need.
Very cool.
I'm putting more pins in here this time. You can see that. Also because right now I kind of need it.
Little bitty. Teeny tiny.
So I have to say, it looks like it's going to be a little tricky.
It's going to be a little tricky. That's all right. We'll make it work.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I do these one at a time because having pins on both sides is a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to set that aside for now.
And long pieces that
Big
are just
long
sort of
pieces.
dangling
Yes.
everywhere
Yeah.
probably aren't fun to deal with either.
Nope. All right. So on a wider piece, you would actually have room to sew down and up.
I see.
This might be 2 stitches,
Okay.
so it might actually jam a little bit because there's just not much here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just give it a little. In fact, I'm not even pressing the pedal, I'm just doing it manually with my hand. Then I'm going to hit the reverse, see if it'll let me do that. Whoa, see? Alright, so then we're going to pick that up, needle is still down, and we're just going to rotate that,
Oh,
put that back down.
fancy pants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the feed dogs are not grabbing that. So, get a little gooch. It's so tiny, it's what's in it.
Ah, yes.
And also hold the machine. Sometimes it's so narrow that it's not catching on the feed dogs.
Right.
Yeah, that's all right. You get it. There it goes. Got it.
Yay.
I may have to hand tack that one little spot up top. So it doesn't come loose.
We should say too, Sharon is a very experienced sewer.
Mm-hmm.
So the skinnier piece of fabric here, yeah, is she's going to be able to do this, but it probably you'll want to either use the wider one or fabric as a beginner, because this is a challenge.
Yeah.
It is doable, but it's a little awkward, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, Sharon's definitely got it. It's just,
Yeah. Sharon is.
Sharon's
pro.
also a professional.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Now just hold
I would right now be crying and going, I don't know what I'm
Yes,
doing.
exactly.
I'm crying on the inside.
I probably
Crying
would
for
have.
both of us.
Yep, yep.
I probably would have my own shirt sewn into it somehow. I don't know.
I didn't do that once. My worst sewing mistake is I was sewing a jacket and somehow managed to get the sleeve attached to the front of the jacket.
That sounds like something out of a book.
Yeah, so it just looked like I was Napoleon all the time because I couldn't, I was just like walking around.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I was doing hand sewing, and I sewed something literally to my hand.
Oh no.
It didn't hurt because
right.
it was a callus, which is why I didn't notice.
Oh, that's so
So
funny.
I was doing really delicate, careful hand sewing,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't notice it was
gosh.
like, right in here or something, I don't know. And I tried to move my hand and it all came with and realized I'd literally sewn it to my own flesh.
Oh my gosh.
So, don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Everyone was a beginner.
Mhm.
Everyone's learning. I've been doing this for a while and I am still learning.
I mean, there's always more to know about everything, any
Yes.
skill.
Absolutely.
No matter how much you know, there's always more to learn. Which is one of the great things about life, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, something else I probably should say. I hope you can see it on the camera. I am sewing, again, it's so narrow it's hard to tell, but I am sewing the open side where it's unfolded, and I'm sewing as close to that edge as I can.
Okay.
Yeah. With this narrow thing, sometimes it probably looks like I'm just sewing right down the center. On a wider piece, you don't want to do that because you'll actually miss the foldy parts.
Right,
And it'll still just be flopping open loose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sew it over to the edge as close as you can.
Yeah. It's like The Price is Right, as close as you can without going over.
Yeah. And a Price is Right reference. This
Come
stage
on
just
down.
can't get any better.
All right, I'm gonna
Help control the pet population.
All right, now let's see if I can actually reverse that. Get that locked in there. Yeah, that worked.
That's
So
all.
All right.
I actually have a question from a viewer.
Oh, wonderful.
Is there a device that helps you fold fabric into bias tape?
There is, actually. There is a specific foot. Some machines come with it automatically. A lot of times, this one did not come with one, so I would have to buy one. but it's this big, depending on your machine, the feet will come off. With this one, this little red button you can see,
Yeah.
the foot comes off.
Oh.
And you can get all different feet, you know, zipper foot, this kind of foot, whatever.
Right.
And there's this really fancy looking one. In fact, probably if you do a Google search for bias foot, B-I-A-S,
Yeah.
or bias tape foot,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find it, and it looks almost like it's like a foot like this, but then it has this big thing, like a horn
Oh,
that comes
okay.
out.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a curly cue, like a bugle. Remember those
Yes,
chips? It
totally.
looks like half a bugle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you feed the tape in there, and you have to get it in just right, and takes some time. You have to and then take like a seam ripper, you have to have your foot up, kind of ooch it through so it pops out this end.
Okay.
Put it down, and then if you get it going just right, and it takes a few tries,
Yeah.
don't give up.
Okay.
But it'll just start feeding through there as it'll fold it and feed it, and you can sew this on there. If I had one, man, this would go faster. Thank you, viewer. It's a brilliant idea. Oh. And then just all in one motion, just zoop, and it'll fold the tape,
Okay.
fold the fabric, and stitch it on here all at once.
Wow.
Quilters.
Oh, that's
You know when they
fantastic.
quilt,
Yes.
go around the
Okay.
edges?
Absolutely.
That is a quilting tool, and they are wonderful.
Very cool.
I am not a quilter, so it never even once occurred to me. Huh. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you.
Yes.
Whoever you are, thank you.
Yeah. Excellent.
The viewer says you're welcome.
I'm an idiot, didn't even think that.
Yeah. And of course, if you're also, kind of a beginner, you can also just go slow with this too, right?
Yes.
Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same speed. No. I just, as workers point out, that it's adjustable.
Yes. Oh yeah, you can go like that if you want.
Yeah, as
Whatever.
fast or as slow as you want.
Oh yeah.
Whatever makes you comfortable.
Yep.
So Sharon, we keep saying that you're a professional. What do you sew?
Hats. I make hats.
Oh. And what's your company name?
The company is Dream Hats.
Dream Hats.
If you dream it up, I'll make it.
That's a great. Oh, I love
That's
that.
amazing, yeah.
Somebody gave me
So
that.
cool.
Somebody told me I should do that.
Yeah.
Hats never fit me, so we need to talk.
I find myself at kind of loose ends right now because usually I sell all of my hats. I make a lot of historical and theater type hats,
Right.
and I sell them at the local Renaissance Festival.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
But you can't be more than 6 feet apart at a Renaissance Festival.
That
Yeah.
is
It made a
very true.
wise decision to not hold the festival this year.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But that's
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
because now I have time to make masks and help people out.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean,
That
that's
is true.
Yes.
That is
All right, since I can't do that backing up and that those
Mm-hmm.
edges are a little awkward being so tiny,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna tie that off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
That totally works.
Okay.
A little
Awesome.
tie on that, and then I'll snip the threads. And now we're ready to pleat. We are almost done.
Yay!
Yep.
Awesome. This is so great. Thank you again for showing us this. This is great.
Yeah.
All right, now this part, I don't have measurements for you, and I apologize for that.
No,
I
that's all right.
I tried drawing it all out, and for me, not even before I was going to do this. And I just kept eyeballing it, and
Yeah.
it worked better than trying to actively measure it.
Right.
So I'm going to eyeball it for you.
Okay.
The one rule is that when you're done, you want it to be between about 2.5 and 3 inches
Okay.
tall.
Perfect.
Mm.
So I'm just going to take this, and we're just going to fold it over.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that.
Cool.
And then I just usually do 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just going to look like that.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I'm going to run this over and iron it real quick.
Okay. Wonderful.
Kind of awkward, but I'm just going to pick it up like this.
Mm-hmm.
And be right back for people with beards.
Mm-hmm.
Or just big people, little people,
Mhm.
all different sizes. You might have to tweak the measurements on this a little bit.
Right.
You might
Okay.
have to make this a little bit taller, like
Mhm.
maybe the pattern is 6 inches, maybe
Mhm.
make it 6.5 or 7 and put an
Yeah.
extra pleat in it. If you're going to have to make it larger, especially if somebody has a beard that comes down, that's not
Mhm.
close cropped.
Okay. Yeah.
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 Ross has a nice closely cropped beard, so it wouldn't be as much of a thing.
No, but some people do have like very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
big
for
ones,
sure.
Yeah, you
so,
definitely want a bigger piece for that.
Yeah.
My husband's is sort of in between.
Mm.
His is thicker than yours, but not like measurably long.
Right,
But when I was doing this, I tested a couple on him, and he probably could have done with one extra pleat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then I've had friends that like, they have beards that could be measured by like a foot or so.
Right.
Right, yeah.
And that's definitely a different story.
Yes.
Top cover band, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so you can see, I just put a couple of pins in there just to hold the pleats down.
Okay.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way. If you try to just power through it, I've ironed it, I don't need pins. You start to sew, the foot pushes the pleats out of the way. And just, pin your pleats.
Pin your pleats. That's the takeaway.
Yes.
For today.
Yes.
Pin those pleats. Hey, Sharon.
Ah, there we go. Different spot. There we go. My chair moved, so I thought.
Yes.
All right. Start here. And go back a couple. And it's going to be pretty thick. You've got a lot of layers through here, so just take it nice and slow. Depending on how cranky your machine is. Also, there are different sizes of needles. If you have a needle on here, because like if you haven't sewn for a while or something,
Right.
and the last thing you sewed was a tutu for your niece's dance recital, you might have too small of a needle in there and it might snap going through a lot of fabric like this.
Okay.
So be sure you have something that's a 10 or higher.
Okay.
This one is a 10 right now.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it seems to be doing the trick just fine.
Yep.
So.
Now, is this something, do you feel people would be able to hand sew this as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Great.
Now I'm going to,
Obviously, it would take longer, but
Yes.
if you don't have a sewing
Sure.
machine, that
Yeah.
would be your only option.
you want to have 2 rows of seams here,
Okay.
just because that's going to be a stress point
I
as
see.
you open and close it.
Totally.
So you can either just go up and down 2, or I'm going to do a little cheat, move 1 stitch over, and just rotate it, and go back up the way again.
Very
That
nice.
is so cool.
Yeah.
Now you're going against
Mm-hmm.
the flow of your pleats now,
Oh, yeah.
but we're going to be doing that on the other side anyway, so
Yeah, that's
get
true.
used to it now.
Plus, you already had to put down one side, so I think it would make it a little easier going back the other way, since you've already sewed down one part of it.
Yes.
So,
We do have one more viewer question.
Mhm.
Is there any reason that folks should put the bias tape on the outside, on those
Over
edges
here?
that you're sewing now?
You absolutely can if you want. It will help to hold those pleats in place.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to, you could actually go all the way around
Okay, yeah,
and then put the pieces on.
sure.
But that's more of an aesthetic than a
Okay.
necessity.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great, awesome, thank you.
In fact, I saw on Facebook another friend of mine was making masks, and hers were all one color, completely.
Okay, yeah,
She made her own bias.
right,
She had everything sewn all the way around, just like you said,
right.
and everything was made out of the same fabric.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it was very pretty.
Yeah,
It had a very nice uniform look to it.
right.
We are 2 seams away, 1.5 seams away from being done.
Ooh, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
woo! The anticipation is mounting.
I know.
So I'm gonna back seam that just a little bit,
Thrilling.
even though I'm not cutting it yet. I'm gonna do my little rotate. There we go. Back to the side. Back down that. Lock that seam. And we're done.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Woo.
Oh, that looks amazing.
Yeah, very cool.
Threads
That
off.
looks great.
You don't want threads sticking in your nose, because don't touch your face.
Yeah.
Shall I be your model?
Yes.
I wanted to buy one from you anyway, so.
Here we go.
All right.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Show us how it's done.
Let's see here. So we're going to, are we back on? Okay, cool. So I just would go like this, right?
Exactly, yep.
So we tie this one up here. And this one down here. You want to make sure it's nice and snug to your face too, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And you could probably even bring it down over your chin a little more.
Okay,
There you
yeah,
go.
there we go.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Ta-da!
Woo.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Very well.
Yeah, that was
This
awesome.
is awesome.
Glad you like it.
This
And-
is great.
Yeah, I hope that is helpful for all you viewers at home. Thank you very much for joining us. And a special thanks again to Sharon for showing us her wonderful sewing techniques.
Yes.
Do it.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
This is great. We'll be sure to have you back again too.
I'm happy to anytime.
Awesome.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Bye-bye. Bye.